Good evening, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. I'm down on the lower level, and it is a Tuesday. It is 8:49 at night, and it is June the 10th, according to my laptop. I don't have my clock with me. I'm just doing this kind of sporadically. My wife fell asleep in her chair up in the living room, and I came down the lower level just to make a quick video. It's been a couple days. Thought I would just do someplace different, and I thought what I would do is just show you the books on my table. You know, I come down here and I have my old laptop, and I have books down here that I always have in front of me when I'm here. And when I come down here, I usually write in my composition book, and I always keep a little. I wrote last night. I just write, just little paragraphs. I don't put page numbers, and I always have a little photo of a bird. This is a hawk, and I keep one in front of a song sparrow. I love birds, dogs, cats, animals. So I thought I'd just show you books. People are always saying, show me some books, new books, old books. And I have a lot of books. So when I thought I would just show you the books that are set in front of me. I showed you, somebody had a video that we're going to read in the month of June. They were going to read Middlemarch by George Eliot. Now, as you all know, this is one of my all-time favorite novels, which I read a number of years ago, and I've been playing with the idea of rereading Middlemarch, and I found a Norton Critical Edition, but I have many editions of Middlemarch. I collect them. This is Middlemarch by George Eliot. Middlemarch, Silas Marner and Amos Barton. There are 3 novels in here. This Great Classics Library. And then I have this copy of Middlemarch by George Eliot. Yeah, this is one of my favorite novels, so I collect different editions. And then I have the Wordsworth Classics, George Eliot, Middlemarch. And then I have the Selected Essays, Poems, and Other Writings by George Eliot. And then I have another Middlemarch by George Eliot. This is in the Bandham Classic edition. And then I have the Penguin Classics, another George Eliot Middlemarch. See, the full title of Middlemarch is, what's the full title? Let me see. I also have it in Middlemarch, George Eliot, complete on a bridge with introduction by A.S. Bratt. But it's called, the full title of it, what's it called? It's called, I always forget. It's not. Can't remember the full title of it. Maybe it's. This is the one I first read of Middlemarch. Was just little. I had this. This is the first. This is what I read mine in, Middlemarch, and it's, yeah, a Middlemarch, a study of provincial life by George Eliot. This is an Oxford University Press edition, this one. This is the one I read. I remember reading it when I was laying in bed. See, it's a library withdrawal. And the last time it was stamped was 1998. So this is what I read mine in, was this little edition. And I showed you this one, Middlemarch, George Eliot. And then I have her other novels, Daniel Daronia by George. I haven't read this. And then I have Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. I read this, Adam Bede. I read this back in the early 80s when I was still in Bible college in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and our first child was born. I read Adam Bede. That's how I first got into George Eliot. I don't remember much about the story. And then you have Felix the Radical by George Eliot. And I also have these biographies on George Eliot. This is by Catherine Hughes, George Eliot. I haven't read any of these biographies. I collect biographies on her. And then I have George Eliot, A Life by Rosemary Ashton. Ashton also wrote a biography on George Eliot's partner, which was G.H. Lewes, A Life by Rosemary Ashton. C.H. Lewes was a deeply unconventional Victorian, though he is best remembered for the liaison with George Eliot, marriage in all but name, which occupied the last 25 years of his life. He was also a man, a writer of striking, varied interests and capacities. So I don't know if there's a picture of them together. I don't think they were ever together, but this is on her partner. And then I have this biography on George Eliot by George Eliot, Voice of a Century, Frederick R. Carl. I think I have his he wrote a biography on Kafka. He wrote a biography on William Faulkner and Joseph Conrad, which I have in my library. You know, I collect biographies. So he wrote on George Eliot. He wrote on Franz Kafka, William Faulkner, Joseph Conrad. He also wrote a novel, The Quest, edited volumes and works of letters by Joseph Conrad. So I haven't read these, but I collect biographies on George Eliot. And so that's what here. So yeah, I collect on George Eliot. On top of George, I also have, how much time is on here? Got 8 minutes. Put these aside and show you another collection down here. I've been reading at night the poetry of Jim Harrison, The Shape of the Journey, poetry by Jim Harrison. There's a picture of him. He's passed away. I also collect the writings. My favorite books is Fernando Pessoa, The Book of Disquiet. This is one of my favorite books. And then they've been reprinting his works, and then they came out with this complete edition, The Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa, translated from the Portuguese by Margaret Joel Costa, New Directions. And then they came out with Fernando Pessoa, little larger than the entire universe, selected poems. And then they came out with the writings on art and political theory by Fernando Pessoa. And then I selected poems by Fernando Pessoa by Richard Zenith. Richard Zenith wrote this massive biography on Pessoa, which I have. I read, it's over, how many pages is this? I haven't really finished it. I read about 570 pages, and it's about 1,050 pages. Never finished it, but I keep it up here by my table. I also have the complete works of Alberto de Campos. Fernando Pessoa wrote under different pseudonyms, different characters or men. He wrote under different names, and he took on different personalities or different writing styles, different ways, and this is one of them, is the complete works of Alberto de Campos by Pessoa. And then they came out with this. This is another pseudonym, the complete works of Alberto Carrero. So you have that name, and then you have a different name. See? And it says here, Alberto de Campos is one of the most influential heteronymous created by Portugal's great modernist writer Fernando Pessoa. According to Pessoa, Campos was born in this place in 1890 and studied mechanical engineering in Glasgow, although he never managed to complete his degree. In his own day, Campos was celebrated and slandered for his ferocious poetry imbued with Whitman-inspired free verse, his praise of the rise of technology, and his polemic views that appeared in manifestos, interviews, and essays. I don't know. So anyway, I collect his writings. They're down here. So those are the kind of things I collect as far as books that I keep on the table here. And there's always something to add to the library. But my favorite book of his is the Book of Disquiet. So what else I have down here? Well, I have, for example, I really like this book here. Dostoevsky reads Hegel in Siberia and burst into tears by Laszlo F. I can't even pronounce it, but it's one of my favorite books. Also, his book, Melancholy, by him. I keep these on my table. Highly recommend them. This book I like, Nightlife, Night Language, Sleep and Dreams by A. Alvarez. I just translate it. No, doesn't seem to be a translation. But these are the kind of books I keep down here. It's a biography on Whistler, the painter, by Daniel E. Sutherland. He's one of my favorite painters, Whistler. I collect books on him, and see if I can find a painting of his in here. Give you an idea of how he paints. Oh, let me see here. Something. Oh, I don't see anything here I can find immediately. I like his Vienna sketches, but I don't see him in here. Anyway, I collect books on Whistler. Paints like that. And He's one of my favorite painters. Portrait. He wrote, he did all kinds of paintings, but anyway, I keep that there. And it's a book I was reading, The Unknowable, Early Modern Thought, Natural Philosophy, and the Poetics of the Ineffable by Kevin Killeen. And you have this book, The Wandering Mind, What Medieval Monks Tell Us About Distraction by Jamie Kreiner. They got short stories by Mavis Gallant, Mavis, Across the Bridge, stories. So it just goes on and on when it comes to books. As far as up here you have, I've been reading books, The Liberal Mind by Kenneth Minogue. And then you have Liberalism, The Life of an Idea, second edition by Edmund Fassett. And then you have things like Zero and the One, a novel by Ryan Ruby. And then you have, this is my favorite books too, The History of Bombing by Sven Lindquist. I've shown this before. And then you have The Last Barbarians, The Discovery of the Source of the Mekong in Tibet, which is a river by Michael Peissel. I can't pronounce his name. So that's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of books. There's just books just flowing and flowing and flowing around here. So I gotta go upstairs. My wife goes to bed pretty soon, and we gotta read Isaiah and pray so she can go to bed, but tomorrow she has a big day. Yeah. So I'll sign off. I just want to show you books. So I hope you're having a good reading week, and until next time, bye.